Hello guys. Today, Mike's here through Discord call, and
Hello, nerds.
and today we're gonna talk about Super Bowl predictions and some other stuff as well. Um, so I guess,
Yeah.
huh?
No, you go ahead. What were you gonna say?
All right. I was just gonna say it's gonna be interesting because I did look at the stats before earlier today about comparing the two teams. I took a glance.
Yo, can you tell?
Um, but yeah, but I did look at some stats, and there's some. But overall, it's probably going to be a very passing-driven game because both teams are not good at running the ball, and both teams have great run defense but terrible pass defense. So it's going to be a little interesting.
No, man.
Well, I'm just going by statistics, like rankings in the league. I mean, it's hard to say sometimes. I was just going by the statistics.
Which one, like points allowed or something?
Just overall, like rankings in the league and like rush defense, pass defense. I compared the two,
You
like,
gotta.
for
I
example,
mean, those are okay.
it's a base to work with. There's other gears that can be factors too. That was just an overall general look, but there's other small things that can be a factor, like injuries can be a factor. Maybe some underrated players could have a big game. Some players could have a bad. Some big players may something may happen. Um, but I think the big factor is going to be experience here, especially with the quarterbacks. This is going to be an offensive game because the
I
defenses,
mean, you say that. You say that.
yeah,
But you sound like Chris Collinsworth right now. Like,
Chris,
exactly like him. Like, oh yeah, I know this guy.
this
You
guy.
know the offenses they're doing. You're literally Collinsworth right now.
Don't
Like
compare me.
I don't mean to be that guy, but
Don't
you
don't
also have
compare
to
don't compare me to
understand
Collinsworth.
it's been compared. It's been compared. Your offenses. You already know about the offense because you're Chris Collinsworth. You're a receiver and you love offense.
No, no,
I
no,
love the Bengals because you're Chris Collinsworth.
no. Because the thing is that usually when
You
I
gotta understand. Damn it, bro! Stop talking when I'm talking.
sorry,
Damn it!
there's just a
All right,
one
what
inch
were you gonna
delay.
say?
Um, let's see. Usually when I go into Super Bowls, I usually look at which team has the better defense. Because
You're
usually,
looking at statistically.
yeah, statistically, I usually go by statistics. That's the best. That's the only real way to look at it. I mean, the only other factors that could take place are stuff I previously mentioned, like injuries and stuff like that. But as far as
I
I
mean, you
know,
could compare which team has a better overall record. That
yeah,
might help.
yeah. Of course, we can compare those. I mean, Rams do have a better record, I believe. Um, that plays a factor too. Bengals season since Bengals had to fight a lot more. There's potential for the team to get tired, but with both teams getting 2 weeks off, I imagine that tiredness probably won't be as much of a factor. Um, but I do think I think when it comes down to it, I think the team with the most experience is going to win. And I feel like the Rams have more experience overall compared to the Bengals. Now, in individual positions, that could change. Like, I don't know the Bengals and Rams rosters down to a T. But I do know that really it's going to come down to the quarterbacks, in my opinion. Burrow versus Stafford. I feel like that's what it's going to come down to because, like I said, both these teams, in terms of statistics, when they match up against each other, they're almost mirror images to a degree. They're really close to that angle, which is very strange. Um, I will say though, I do believe Rams offense overall might be a little bit better than the Bengals, but I don't quite remember. So take that for what you will. But I think
Well, I
Stafford.
mean,
Yeah.
you're looking at it in a very weird way, man, in
What
my opinion,
what way do you look at
because
it?
none of their offensive games this year, well, none of their games this year have mattered.
Hmm.
None of them are going to matter for this Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Look at
exactly.
it
Yeah.
in that perspective of this is one game, and none of their offense in the year mattered. None of their defense in the year mattered. And you're saying things like, oh, this is their defense, but consider strength of schedule, uh,
Mm-hmm.
division games, and rivalry games,
Exactly.
and who was on their roster for those individual matchups with injuries and whatnot.
Yeah.
And if, for example, your team has the last ranked defense in points allowed
Yes. Yes.
situationally based on those factors, it might not be that bad. So just looking at it with a blank, this is their ranking,
Yeah.
it's set in
That
stone,
that's all I
kind of
was
view
really.
is
Yeah.
poor.
That's all I was really able to look at it. I don't have an exact analyst. There's definitely those details you mentioned are legit details to look at because strength of schedule can make a huge difference. Because let's look at their divisions. The Rams had to compete with the Seahawks, San Fran, and the Cardinals. San Fran almost had a big run this year. They could have went to the Super Bowl this year. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Seahawks, I don't quite remember how well they did this year. I don't remember if they did well or not.
Yeah, I think they were like 7-11. I think,
Yeah,
however many games they play now.
they're kind of a little below middle. They're still kind of a little rough. Cardinals Cardinals had a decent year. They were pretty competitive. So it was a reasonably competitive division for the most part. Um, let's see.
Mm-hmm.
The Bengals.
They, they played against the Steelers and the Browns
It,
and the Ravens
yes.
in the division.
That's also was a little.
They're all somewhat good teams.
Yeah. Browns kind of
They
had a.
all have
Yeah.
ability.
Browns had some high energy going to the season. I don't remember how well they did this year. Um. Let's see. Steelers
Yeah,
and
I think they won like 7 games. I don't remember.
yeah, Steelers and Ravens were kind of in the hunt. Um. But yeah, both of the divisions were pretty competitive. I think Rams division might have been a little bit more competitive, but it's hard to say. Um, I think strength of schedule. I don't know. It's hard to say because I feel like the Rams had more pieces together for Stafford to succeed because they were still, to my knowledge, still carrying over guys from their last Super Bowl appearance. But I don't know. I don't know what their roster's like, so I can't really say for sure how many of those pieces they kept and how many they let go because it has been a few years. Um, Bengals, they kind of built that team a little bit, as far as I know, because there's not because I don't they because they were bad for a minute after they let go of Dalton,
Yeah.
but
Also, Burrow had an ACL last year,
exactly,
so that obviously isn't good for any team to have
exactly,
your one of your premier players to be sidelined.
yeah, yeah.
Now,
So,
you mentioned the division games,
mm-hmm.
and think about also if you really wanted to break it down, you would break down how well they scored in those division games and
Yeah,
see, how much of that would translate to right now.
you
So,
know,
in my opinion,
yeah.
the 49ers that the Rams just played, that win was a big win for them, and some of that will probably translate to the Super Bowl.
Actually,
just from having the little bit of experience against a good caliber team.
it's interesting because I just realized
I don't know.
something. I can look up the stats on my laptop as we talk about it. The more deep downs. So, but yeah,
All right.
but yeah, I agree.
You're
Like
gonna
there's
look up Collinsworth's favorite. You're gonna
Collins.
go to Pro Football Focus and become the true Collinsworth.
Oh,
Oh, he's had 10 targets and dropped 5 of them.
oh no, of
Like he
course he's
fucking
gonna
knows
pick the
what's going on.
Bengals like a scrub because he's gonna root for his own team. But then
Oh,
again, all the guys do that. How I will say this:
I guess.
if the Bengals were facing any other team, I'd probably kind of on a fan level root for them. But I can't. But my boy Stafford, I gotta root for him.
Oh,
I got
it's like that.
Well, I mean, statistically, there'll be factors, but when it comes to like the fan in me, it's like Stafford being a Super Bowl. I mean, that's the closest a Lions fan is gonna fucking get.
For like 20 or 30 or 40 years, probably.
We'll have to, yeah,
Well, honestly, I don't even want to say that because who knows? They
yeah.
could
You
they could
never
make
know.
a Super Bowl run in the next 10 years.
Yeah, definitely.
Just pretend that they aren't themselves for like 2 minutes, and just think about it. Just pretend it's not the Lions. They changed their name to the Kitty Cats.
Kitty cats.
I don't fucking know, man.
Yeah,
Like, what's it gonna take for the Lions? Who knows? But
yeah,
we'll talk about that later.
yeah. So
Uh, who are you picking to win the game?
picking,
And do you have a final score prediction?
I, I'm gonna say. And I'm taking the fan out of me for this. I'm looking at this. I'm gonna try to look this more objectively. I think objectively speaking, I feel like Stafford's experience, because while he doesn't have a lot of playoff experience, he's still a huge veteran, and he's won playoff games. I mean, he beat Tom Brady. That's huge in the playoffs. I mean, he's the last guy forever. This is gonna be known forever. He was the last guy Brady lost to before he retired, in terms of quarterback dueling. You know what I mean?
Unless
That's
he comes back later this year.
that I'd laugh.
You never know.
Yeah, I'd laugh though, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he could get the Favre bugging
So
and create. I'm gonna say Rams, but
you're picking the Rams. Ooh.
I'm gonna say it's gonna be a close game though. I'm thinking I think it's gonna be semi high scoring though. I'm gonna say something like 31-28 or 34-31, around that range. I think it's gonna be a high scoring game because I feel like the offenses, because I have the stats up right now, um, and it looks like it's going by playoff stats as opposed to regular season stats, which might be a little fitting more what we're looking for in terms of recent production and stuff. Um,
Yeah, it kind of takes it away from the meaningless stats in meaningless games.
so far in terms of playoffs, Stafford has performed better, but Burrow hasn't been bad either. His stats are good too. Defensively, let's look at defense. Um, looks like pretty decent, but yeah, it looks like both sides are both sides are pretty mere matches on defense. There's not a lot of difference between the two. Um, let's see here.
Would you say that there are more notorious players on the Rams defense that are more known, but maybe not better all the time?
Yeah, I mean they got Von Miller, who's been a beast. He so far in the playoffs
Yeah.
he's had 10 tackles, a couple sacks, and a forced fumble. I mean that's
Not
pretty.
bad.
Yeah, not bad. I mean they got some. Most of these guys I do not recognize. I see Eric Weddle um, on the
Yeah,
list.
he unretired because he's OG.
Yeah, he has 6 tackles
That's
so
like a Tom
far.
Brady move right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Aaron Donald has been a beast for the Rams.
Yeah, I see his stats. He has 7 tackles in the playoffs. There's a
Yeah, remember when the Bengals Vontez Perfect choked for them in the playoffs with that penalty against the Steelers?
Oh geez, yeah.
As
Oh
long as they don't have him doing some shit like that,
yeah.
their defense will probably
Is
be
he
better.
is he still on the team? I don't know if I saw his name.
Mm, I don't think so, bro. I haven't
Yeah,
even looked at it.
they probably
He
cut
hasn't
him
been
after
relevant
that.
in a long time because
Yeah,
he's kind of a douche move,
yeah,
committing penalties, being a dickhead.
yeah, yeah. It's so weird when you see so many penalties get committed like that.
Stuff.
Yeah. There's a couple big name players here on the Bengals on defense that are stick out quite a bit. A Wilson, I don't. L. Wilson, I don't know if it's Luke Wilson. I don't know for sure, but he has 18 tackles and an interception in the playoffs. G. Pratt has, yeah, on one of the Cincinnati defenders. Um,
Yeah.
Pratt has 15 tackles and an interception. Like a lot of guys in the double digits for tackles on this team. Trey Flowers has 5 tackles.
Tackles are kind of.
Yeah, it's only big.
In my opinion, tackles are not that great.
The important stat for you is like getting turnovers and fumbles and stuff.
Yeah.
Looking at
I would
this,
say so, especially playoffs.
Cincinnati has had a lot of interceptions on defense in the playoffs. Their defense got a lot of interceptions.
I mean, yeah.
So that could be a factor right there.
Either way, you could argue. I mean, you could argue they're going to get a lot of interceptions because they have proven they can do it, or you could argue that it's unlikely they'll continue the pace. You could go either way. I'll probably say, probably not that many in the Super Bowl. The offenses are going to be somewhat careful.
Yeah, my guess is.
Yeah, if they get an interception or two, but I doubt they get more than two, to be honest.
It feels like the Rams defense, it seems like they have more experienced players, but it looks like Cincinnati's defense has a bit more skill, has a little bit higher skills in getting turnovers. So that could be a factor there. And that's the other thing too, is that's going to be huge because, like I said, both the teams don't have good running, were lower ranked in running offense, and both teams' rush defense was very solid, and both teams' pass defense were not the best. However,
I mean, are you looking at yards again?
I'm looking at NFL ranks.
Okay, ranks of what?
Like ranked in the league during the season. But I only bring that up because
I know it's in the league, but what stats are they ranked on?
Based on
if you're ranking on yards
given
somewhat misleading.
rush defense and pass defense, how much yards they gave up.
See, if you do consider like I said, strength of schedule, but also consider the number of times they caused a turnover, which gives the other team the ball again.
Yeah, like I was just about to say that. If we look deeper though, Cincinnati's skills at getting turnovers can be the tie turner for that. On the other hand though, you also have to look at how Stafford's been doing compared to Burrow. Stafford has only been intercepted once in the playoffs so far. He's 72 for 100 with 900-ish passing yards and 6 touchdowns to 1 interception. Joe Burrow has similar stats. He's been 75 for 109 with 842 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions.
So as of right now, Stafford has done a little bit better for quarterback rating.
A little bit, but not by a ton.
considering the turnover in the yards and completions.
Yeah, a little
But
bit.
if you're looking at the team defensive or offensive or whatever stats, just looking at yards allowed doesn't always do it justice.
Yeah, no,
If that
no.
makes sense,
Yeah, you're right.
because
Yeah, it doesn't because there's
situational football.
yeah, because what really comes down to I wish they had a rating for this the clutch. Like when shit comes to shit, what team pulls something out of their ass to get the job done, you know? And so far, based on its stats, statistics, it looks like Cincinnati has done that a little bit more than the Rams defense has. But then again, you could also argue that the Rams defense never had to go through those situations because they did such a good job, taking care of the teams. But you
Mm-hmm.
know, the best team should be prepared for any sort of situation that comes up to them. So it can quarterback wise, statistically wise, Stafford's a little bit above Burrow, but Burrow's still solid. He could easily have a great game as well as Stafford could. However, I think it's going to be interesting to see how well Stafford experiences goes against the interception skills in Cincinnati's defense. That's going to be
All right.
something. That's going to be something to keep an eye out for, because because I feel like how that goes will determine the rest of the game. Because if Stafford owns that pass defense, I feel like the Rams are going to win. If their defense puts up a fight, we're going to have a game. Now, Joe Burrow, on the other flip side, Joe Burrow's inexperience against the Rams defense, which I can argue is a little bit more experienced than the Cincinnati defense, based on my uh, limited accumulative knowledge that I have right now. That can also be a good thing to watch out for, because even though they may not get the turnovers, if they have the skills to keep getting fourth downs, that can make a difference there, right there. Um, but
I guess.
it's. But I think the Stafford versus Cincinnati defense will probably be the one that's going to stick out a little bit more than the flip side, though. Um, but yeah, I think overall, I think the Rams are going to win, but it's going to be close. I will not be surprised if the Bengals win, because I feel like they've been on such a hot streak with winning all these games, and they're on such a run that I feel like they could do it. But I also feel like with the Rams having the experience they have, and everyone getting around Stafford, and Stafford just having all that experience and that drive to get a ring after all these years, it's going to be interesting to see how it's going to play out. Um,
Yeah, I would pick the Rams today.
yeah, today.
Probably like uh 27-24
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
or whatever.
Yeah, I could see that score too.
Maybe like 20, 27-21 or 20.
Yeah,
Like a one or two scores, but not that much.
yeah, but
But
yeah,
who knows, man? That could be wrong too. But it is what it is.
yeah. Well,
Yo, there was one really big NFL topic I wanted to talk about. It was the Dolphins head coach
oh yeah,
suing the NFL
oh yeah,
for racially biased hiring practices.
yeah.
There were text messages that allegedly confirm the Giants selected their head coach before he was interviewed. Brian Flores, I believe is his name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That is fucked.
yeah,
The NFL is already so out of whack with hiring and locker room culture BS that results in scandals and stuff like that. Do you remember the bullying scandal a couple years ago?
I do.
Where
Very
Richie Incognito
yeah. I remember that
bullied
very.
Jonathan Martin off the team.
Yeah, remember that vividly. Like,
Where's my pizza? Is it in the fridge?
it's in the fridge, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of just like there's a huge disconnect between like NFL players who see themselves one way, NFL coaches and owners and general managers and NFL like higher ups,
Yeah.
and then there's like fans who don't see any of that, and in a way don't really understand it. But to be honest, I think this is just an example of what the fuck is going on. It doesn't really make much sense.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
The NFL has a rule called the Rooney Rule that requires teams to interview minority candidates for certain positions, like, for example, head coach.
Yeah.
And I believe that's part of the reason why Flores received the interview, because he was a minority candidate.
Yeah.
But this just makes the NFL look like fucking idiots, to be honest. It's such a bad thing.
Well,
it's such a bad look. I don't even get it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where
it's just weird.
I think it's just one of those things where I just feel like every person that should get an equal chance to like interview for something, and then the person who does the best gets it, like no matter like looks or whatever. But there's a lot of fuckery there, and a lot of and things get messed up, and people get shafted. They get ripped off, of those opportunities, and yeah,
believe me, I know.
Yeah, I get
getting shafted.
Yeah. Yeah, it's...
Yeah, there's a hole in my wall I'm looking at right now.
This is where my opportunity used to be.
In my opinion, it's just a really, really bad look to consider. Mm-hmm. The NFL already had a rule mandated for this, which I don't even know why they have it, because it seems like teams would want to hire the best coach.
Yeah, exactly.
Regardless of whether they're a minority. So maybe the NFL really had a problem with horrible racist owners, but I don't know why that's the case. I really don't understand it.
Well,
to be honest, I don't understand why the rule needed to be in place, but then this team goes out of the way to break the rule.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous, really. And they implicated Bill Belichick, Tom Brady into this scandal.
Well, yeah.
And it's just quite frankly ridiculous. The Dolphins have already hired a new coach.
Yeah.
And they're trying to sweep it under the rug. But, like, what is wrong with the NFL owners? Do they not have enough money yet? Like, what the fuck?
Well, the other thing to keep...
What's going on, dude?
Yeah, well, keep in mind that I don't think owners are the best at handling, like, current things. I mean, look how long it took Washington to, like, fix their stuff. It took them 2 seasons to come up with the Commander nickname. I mean, come on. That's elementary.
They're fucking... what are they doing? They could have hired, like, some, like, 10-year-olds to come up with a team.
Exactly. Like a young fan could come up with a great nickname compared to, like, a staff. I mean, it's 101 shit. It's just... Yeah, no, the NFL has certainly fallen a little bit. It just doesn't... I feel like they just lack a sense of, like, common sense, because they got themselves tied up in all these rules about, we have to do these things to make things right, when it's just like, why don't we just do the right thing to begin with? But owners...
Yeah, I would say you're definitely hitting on something.
Yeah.
I just think it seems like a ridiculous situation where these teams that have millions of dollars at their disposal, that have some of the best athletes and can hire basically lots of different players, and they're going out of the way to set up private meetings with Tom Brady against the rules, and they're trying to sneak hire a different coach without interviewing a minority candidate.
Yeah, that's...
But again, it just brings me back to, why do they need this rule in the first place? What were they doing before?
Well,
why even now with the rule are they messing this up?
Well,
it really shouldn't be that hard.
Well, I think the thing is, I think when they first made the rule, I think it was under legitimate good intentions, and I think it did work for a while, but I think it got to a point where I just feel like, at the end of the day, the people who are against, at this point, anyone who's against the rule is going to be against it no matter what. You know, I mean, it's been around long enough where it's like any owner that doesn't like the rule is not going to all of a sudden be like, okay, I'm going to obey the rule now. They're gonna hire who they want to hire, no matter what any rule says, and they're gonna find any way to get out of it. And some of them they'll go through the process just to hire the guy they want anyway, just to save face. But yeah, no, it's just one of those things where. And here's the thing. I mean, if they go out of the way to hire a guy without interviewing, like jumping the gun, because based on like visual, like how the person looks, I mean, that could be a huge mistake right there. Because I mean, for all they know, they could have missed out on interviewing someone who could have been the perfect fit, but they were so backwards they missed out on that. And then the guy who gets hired, he could have been a better fit somewhere else, but because the other team jumped the gun, he's gonna miss out on that as well. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's just a mess for everybody.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just maybe the NFL should consider changing the rule. Maybe not get rid of it
Yeah,
unless it was a real consensus, but maybe change it and provide some sort of checks or regulate it in some way, or just make sure the teams actually follow it or amend it and make it easier to follow something.
yeah,
Because, like, the NFL, there's millions at stake, and
yeah,
these teams that really are in such a money focused drive to not obey even very simple rules like this.
yeah,
It's like at some point it's gonna give either one way or the other. The owners are gonna get in trouble and they're gonna get punished for it, or the rule is gonna be changed and then there's gonna be problems. Who knows? But
yeah,
in my opinion, the current rule is just not doing a good job.
yeah, definitely.
And this scandal just definitely defines that,
Yeah,
to where a team has to set up secret interviews, secret meetings in order to
yeah,
snag head coaches and players.
yeah,
It's just the current rule is obviously not doing that great a job.
yeah,
It's just going to be interesting to see how that goes going forward, whether there are changes or what happens.
yeah, definitely.
I thought it was just something interesting, an interesting NFL
Yeah,
topic that we could also fit into this video.
yeah, and
There was
yeah,
another thing.
yeah. Go ahead. Yeah,
We I mentioned before some of the sports books that are doing current bets on the Super Bowl and odds, and some of them you can make a really good profit. So yeah, you and I should definitely consider making a Super Bowl bet video, because they are a lot of these websites, they promote them by doing the first bet is risk free, where
hmm.
you don't have to make an investment for your first use of the site, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get ya.
And I'm not getting paid for this, by the way. I'm just
Yeah,
speaking generally about these FanDuel, DraftKings, Caesars Sportsbook, all the other ones, and they have pretty decent odds. And thinking about how big that's going to be this year, people picking for the Super Bowl, there's going to be a lot of money on the line.
Bye,
yeah,
Mike. Bye, Mike.
For the other sports, because
Yeah.
we've just been mainly focusing on football for this one. But
yeah,
maybe in like a week or a couple weeks or something, we could do basketball or hockey or baseball or something.
yeah.
Something that's not as much football.
Yeah, that reminds me too.
Yeah, man.
Um, I almost forgot this too. Apparently there's a new football league gonna be popping up in the spring.
Yeah, it's the USFL.
Yeah,
And I was also going to mention that, but
yeah,
it's really different culturally to have football in the spring, because it opens it up to compete with spring basketball and baseball starting out. There's a new level of competition.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it's going to be for attendance or for how the games are televised, how many of them get exposure.
Well, fortunately,
but
it
adds competition to all the other leagues.
Yeah. Fortunately, the XFL kind of paved the way. Unfortunately, it didn't work mainly because of the pandemic. But if the pandemic didn't happen, they certainly would have lasted. But the US, what's interesting about the USFL, and it's a small thing, but it's something I really appreciate. All the 8 starting franchises were franchises that they used in the original version back in the 70s into the early 80s. I thought that was a nice touch there because that brings a level of prestige. Because my dad, when he was like around my age, he grew up with the USFL around. In fact, one of the 8 teams is the Michigan Panthers, and they won a championship during that time.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
So it's a lot. So it's really, I really like seeing that. From what I read, it's 8 teams. They're all going to play in Birmingham, Alabama, for because of pandemic rules and stuff. So, but yeah, it's gonna. I don't know how it's structured. I don't know what the rules are. I don't know how similar or different it is going to be to the NFL in terms of how they're going to score stuff and whatnot. But I look forward to it. I always like seeing like new leagues. I did hear that the XFL did plan on coming back next year, and Dwayne Johnson was helping them do it. I don't know if they're going to keep things exactly the same as the previous version or if they're going to change anything, but I do know that there is serious investment into that as well. So we might have 2 spring football leagues at some point.
I don't know, maybe, but
we'll have to see.
Like too many.
Well, you never know, and to be honest, some competition will be good. You know, it's been too long with all these leagues being almost monopolized by default. I like seeing like some competition with other leagues just to kind of, I don't know, just kind of make things more interesting.
Just to spice it up.
And
just to add the extra motivation.
Well, yeah, and also because it could for the leagues competing, it might spawn cool new ideas that we didn't have before.
You mean like Calvin Johnson gets a catch? When he gets a catch in the end zone, that's a catch. And then he puts the ball down, and that is a catch because he put the ball down on purpose. And it will count. It will actually count. What a crazy idea.
Yeah.
His catch will be a catch.
Yeah,
it's like wallets will be wallets, and football will be football, and like a catch will be a catch.
Yeah, that's why
the current NFL doesn't even know what a catch is. So.
Yeah, they had to spend like.
You remember the. You remember the Seahawks and Packers, the Fail Mary with the replacement refs?
Oh yeah. I remember that. Yeah. Oh my God, that was awful.
The dude. He literally caught the other player who caught the ball. And that's a touchdown catch. It's like you don't have to catch the ball. You can just catch the other player who caught the ball and you get a touchdown.
He had 2 hands on it. Saw it. He got 2 hands on it. He went through the other player like a ghost. Oh, he got it. We're giving it to the offense.
I've seen a couple of pitches this year.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of want to. Yeah.
They hit the ground. These players, they're smart about it with fast offense to just run the next play and not get a review.
Yeah, I think what I liked about the XFL. There was a lot of things I liked about the XFL, but one thing I liked about the XFL, I felt like the players were actually hitting each other. I felt like there was actual I felt like they were actually playing football. Now, NFL players, they hit each other, don't get me wrong, but NFL has so much stacked upon stack of ways you have to do things that it almost feels like everything has to be guided along. Everything feels like every player has to think twice before they tackle someone a certain way,
Yeah, to be honest, some of the roughing the passer calls this year have been completely atrocious.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Terrible. Just they're already moving with forward momentum towards
Yeah.
the player,
Yeah.
and then they touch them. They like graze them, barely even do anything,
Yeah.
and that's a penalty
The
just for
Yeah.
being near the quarterback as a defensive player,
Yeah.
which is pretty much what you're supposed to do.
The refs need to chill. You know, in my opinion, I feel like we're overanalyzing too many things. I feel like we need to let the players play football. I mean, because here's the thing. You think with all these rules and regulations about how to do stuff, you think that injuries will go down, but you still see guys getting hurt. I mean, you could argue that they're getting even more hurt now. I mean, there's a couple factors to that. One is because teams are are much more analytical about how players get hurt, so they're more cautious compared to back in the day. But another factor, which I think is a little bit more impactful, is the fact that because players have to think twice before they contact someone, their body gets tense and they don't relax when they make contact, and their body doesn't flow. So when they tense up and hit, it can force the body to go unnaturally in different directions that can cause injuries. So it's
and especially with quarterbacks,
yeah,
where if they see a hit coming, they tense up. But if it's a blind side,
yeah,
they're pretty loose and they can just absorb a little bit of the hit, if that makes sense.
yeah. And 99% of the time, yeah.
No, a couple Super Bowls ago when the Rams played the Patriots.
Oh yeah, that was awful.
The Saints got hosed in the playoffs on that pass interference.
Yeah.
Completely hosed, and that was the worst non-call I've seen in forever.
Yeah.
And then something almost exactly like that happened this year too.
Yeah.
It wasn't in the championship conference game, but still.
I want to say though, the playoffs this year I thought were excellent. Like there's a lot of close games. And that Bills.
Yeah, I particularly enjoyed it, especially having the super weekend or whatever for the wild card, because there was just a lot of variety. You could watch any of the games, and they were all pretty good.
What'd you think of the new alignment since they added the 17 games and added another wild card team?
Honestly, I kind of preferred having less teams because the teams at least somewhat felt like they were better teams. But I could kind of see where they're coming from. They want to have more games and more playoff money and stuff like that.
Well,
at the same time, you don't want to water it down and have crap teams in the playoffs. It's just annoying.
Well, what I like about it is only one team. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, not San Diego anymore. The Chargers from Los Angeles now.
Yeah.
Was a relatively good team that missed the playoffs. The Baltimore Ravens missed the playoffs. Were relatively good.
Yeah.
A few teams like that. But the thing is, when you expand the playoffs, there's always should we add one more? Because the Chargers are almost as good.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, maybe they just fucked up and should have gone back to 6 teams, but.
Well, what I
don't mind it. I think it's okay.
What I do like about it too is that even though they expanded to a couple extra teams, now only one team gets a bye through the first round instead of 2. Which, like one team per.
It adds somewhat more incentive for teams to play well.
Yeah, and it that way.
I don't know.
Yeah, I do like it a lot too. I thought it was very good playoffs, and I hopefully the Super Bowl reflects that. I will be a little sad if Stafford loses, but I'll give the Bengals their due because they've struggled for a long time, and they were so close so many times, especially like late 80s when they faced against San Fran. But yeah.
Good times.
Yeah.
When Collinsworth lost.
Oh, he
lost.
Yeah, but he cost Boomer Esiason a Super Bowl. God damn him. Boomer Esiason should have
Dude,
got.
remember what Boomer Esiason said?
I
That Aaron
don't.
Rodgers would sit out the Super Bowl. What a fucking idiot thing to say. Come on, bro.
He's
Come
been
on, man.
he's been drinking the water at Collinsworth's house. He should have done that. He lost some IQ points that time.
You mean your house?
Oh, ooh, look at this guy.
From the first 5 minutes of the video, it was your house.
Boomer Esiason walks past me in the background. Oh.
Hey, bro, what the fuck? I'm shooting a video. Boomer, get the fuck out of here. He's like, oh, sorry.
Get out of here. Don't you have to use the San Fran again?
We're going to have lunch together.
Don't you have to use the San Fran again?
Okay, dude.
But,
okay,
yeah.
You know how it's ladies first when someone walks in a door?
Yeah.
So if Boomer and Chris Collinsworth go out to eat, who opens the door? They both just kind of stand there and just think about it for a while.
No.
And then eventually someone else opens the door.
Well,
and then they just both sneak in.
Well, no. Well, what happened if Collinsworth will think the door's open and try to walk through it, and he concusses himself but breaks through the door, and Esiason will step over him to get food. That's how it'll happen.
Bruh. My guy. Yeah, if they're in your house, if they're behind you, just tell them to chill for a minute. I think I can hear them.
Boomer, I'll let it slide. Collinsworth, he wouldn't be in the house. I would have kicked him out ages ago. I don't know how he snuck in.
Get the fuck off.
Yeah.
Tracking receiver targets like that even matters or exists.
Yeah.
He's acting like he tracks receiver targets and like it's a meaningful target when it hits his foot.
Yeah.
He's acting like his stats matter.
Yeah.
Because he wants his Pro Football Focus website to matter, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
Chris Collinsworth, what are you doing, man? Like, you're gonna, like, he throws it out in the middle of his commentaries, too. He'll be like, oh, this guy had this many targets and this many dropped catches. Like, they're not really drops if they hit his foot.
Yeah, no, they're not.
They still count, pretty much.
They only drops if it lands on the ground.
Collinsworth, like, even then, if the ball just straight whizzes past the receiver and hits the ground, it's like, well, that's a target, you know?
It's a target, but it's like...
What the fuck is he going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what am I going to do? Like, levitate?
Extend
pick
to
it up
football.
with my mind?
Chris Angel, that shit.
With my mind.
Yeah.
Mind free.
Mind free.
Football edition.
Oh my god. Have you have you heard of anything else from other sports leagues of note? Like any like
Well, I've been watching a little bit of the NBA. I haven't watched so much hockey, although Buffalo is really struggling in hockey this year.
Yeah.
And I know because I had a friend from Buffalo, and I've been following them ever since. And the Bills, unfortunate for them this year, whatever. In the NBA, a lot of stuff about the Lakers and whatever, LeBron, his super team, but keep an eye out on, like, some of these younger superstars, like Luka Doncic on the Mavericks. The Suns are a really good, really hot team right now. The Warriors are still a very good team.
Yeah. How's Toronto?
Pistons are a young team.
How's Toronto?
Toronto? I have no idea. I haven't been paying attention.
Yeah. Milwaukee. What'd you think about Milwaukee winning the championship last season or whatever?
Oh, yeah, dude. That was a big moment.
Yeah.
Considering that I don't think the Bucks win the championship that often or have that many times.
I'm happy.
So it's really big for them.
They
destroyed the Pistons in the playoffs. And the Pistons are really young right now. They're looking to make some moves next year if they can. Get some more people.
Yeah, the Pistons. The times where Pistons were great were when they built teams up with an emphasis on defense. Now, granted, nowadays the way how the refs just call like defense, I think that'll be tough because, in my opinion, I despise the fact that the NBA has become so offensive focused to the point where barely anyone can play defense anymore without getting a penalty or a foul.
Yeah, I saw Doncic get a ridiculous foul today
Yeah,
because they didn't call a foul on the Pistons, and he was upset, so they called a technical foul on him for getting upset.
yeah, that's
Which, if the refs just did their fucking job in the first place, and then they just target whichever players they want to give the most technicals to, like him.
yeah. I
Uh, the Pistons are still a really young team. They got Cunningham.
Mm-hmm. I heard they made a big
Sure he was the number one
acquisition.
pick.
Yeah, I heard they make a big
So they're
acquisition.
obviously, like, when you put a number one pick, you're expecting a really good player. So we'll see. I'm not gonna comment too much about it, but the Pistons are still struggling right now.
Yeah, the big
There was one game where there was a really good odds to bet on the Bulls and Pistons.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of using my FanDuel bet for that game. Would have made bank. The Bulls won it like 130 to 90 or something like that, but it was like a 40-point blowout for the Bulls. And after that, I didn't want to bet on the NBA the rest of the year because I knew, damn it, that would have been my chance.
Yeah, NBA.
When you just have a really good bet, and I just didn't pick that, so then I didn't want to pick any of the other ones after that for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that bothers me about the NBA is just like not only did like the emphasis on offense, but just like the sheer focus on like specific players and nothing else that bothers me. I will say though, Milwaukee doing what they did does give me hope because I feel like I want to see the NBA like the NFL in terms of like in the NFL any team can at any season any time there will be at least one team that can come out of nowhere and make a run for it. And I think the NBA needs more of that because for a long time it just feels like it was just the same teams over and over again. You know what I mean? And over half of them had LeBron on it because God forbid we can have something without LeBron.
He's just ruining everything, man.
Oh yeah, definitely.
What the fuck?
Yeah, fuck him. Fuck him.
Get wrecked, dude.
Yeah, just Jordan should come out of retirement. I'd rather see Jordan play at 60 years old than watch LeBron play. Jordan will probably still be.
Jordan to stop complaining. Like, he's living in the past, still doing interviews and complaining about the old dirty players. Still calling out Bill Laimbeer of the Pistons. Like,
oh yeah.
To this day.
Oh my God! Like
Laimbeer doesn't talk about him.
Literally everyone hated the Pistons back then. Like seriously, like even announcers would get so pissed at the Pistons for how they played because the Pistons they played hard. Like they
get pissed on.
Yeah, like they had one of the best defenses of all time. Like they would hold guys down to the 70s. The 70s. You know, can you imagine? I mean, like that was the season average. Like and yeah, they were a machine. Like literally everyone on that team was like a solid player. And all that was based on building the team up. They didn't do a lot of fancy trades and free agent signings. I mean, they made a couple, but it wasn't anything too crazy. But yeah, and then they kind of did the same thing when they were in the 2000s when they had that championship team. I mean,
yeah. The current NBA for the past 10 years or so has been relatively based on free agency.
Yeah.
Because superstar players don't want to stay with a rebuilding team, and that means basically like 30 teams per year are going to be looking for new players.
Yeah, and it's all and all it takes is for one team to get ironic focus to make a run. Because, for example, like say, oh, remember when Detroit looks good? Let's make them good again. Then all of a sudden, these players are like, hey, let's make Detroit cool again. Yeah, and they just sign up in Detroit, and all of a sudden, Detroit wins the championship. And then after a year or two, they just leave. Then Detroit's back where it was before, like a memory, you know?
Like Cleveland.
Yeah, exactly like Cleveland. That's what exactly happened to
Like,
Cleveland.
Ron came, he's like, okay, now I'm bored. Let's leave.
All right, done what I'm gonna do.
He's like, okay,
hey,
I can finally win that championship.
Hey, guys, the Lakers suck. Remember when they used to be good? Let's go. I'm gonna go over there and make them great again. And he goes over there, and yeah, and now look at the Lakers.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, fuck him. If I owned the Pistons and LeBron begged on his hands and knees, please sign me so I can take the Pistons to the championship, I would say no and to get the security off my desk. I mean, most guys would probably say yeah. Most guys would probably say yeah because they want a ring and they want people in the seats, but I don't know. It's just I just feel like in terms of long term, I mean, LeBron, I mean, he's a short-term solution with a lot of long-term headaches. That's what he's become.
I would say yes.
Well, of course,
maybe like 3 years ago, I would have said yes.
I would have said yes.
He's just a scrub.
I would have said yes when he was leaving Cleveland for the first time. But
not after Miami?
Oh, no, not after Miami. I mean, that's tough.
No, I would have.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, I totally would have. No question.
It's weird. I remember when
it's worth the money. It's whatever, man.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't remember anything in basketball or hockey or even baseball. I don't remember much. Really not much right now. This is kind of a weird time right now because most of the sport leagues are kind of in the off season. Well, baseball is. Basketball, I forgot.
It's not really the playoff focus right now.
Yeah, basketball.
Maybe we can focus on the other leagues another time.
Yeah, they're not ready yet. They have to cover more about them when they're more active because right now they're not really active. They're just kind of doing their regular season thing. But outside of that, there's not really. I don't think there's much else. I know March Madness is coming up soon. I don't think I've heard of any underdog teams that are making a big seed splash.
Yeah, we'll talk about that another time, man.
Yeah,
this video is kind of long.
Yeah, but it's been a minute, so
let's wrap it up, bro.
Yeah, we're gonna call it good here. You guys go ahead and share your thoughts on what you think about Super Bowl predictions and whatnot, and just leave them in the comments below, and we'll reply to them. But yeah, guys,
or we won't.
The world may never know.
No.
The world may never know. But yeah, guys.
You won't know if you're a nerd until later.
It's a code word. You won't know it. But yeah, guys. Thanks for watching. In case you want to.
The word is flaming.
If you want to chat with me, Mike.
All right, type flaming in chat.
It brings up a bot. If you want to chat with me, Mike, or anyone else at the Campy Company, and you don't want to use the YouTube comment section like we mentioned, we do have a couple options. The first one is we have a Discord channel. You can find a link to that in the About page / About section of our channel. We also have a I forgot what it's called. We also I can't believe a discussion tab on our channel as well. You can access that through a PC or laptop computer. We also have a Patreon page that we're building up right now. The main goal of the Patreon page is to earn some resources to start making merchandise for the channel and invest in the channel to kind of improve some stuff and get some stuff and whatnot. And whatever, and feel free to check that out if you have the time or whatever. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like the videos, and have a good day.